All right, good morning, everybody. My name is Helana Black, and this is this week's Wednesday AM Meditative Writing Circle. So glad that you can join me. I have a little bit of a different background today because I moved to a different city, at least temporarily, within Mexico. Right now, I'm in the city of Oaxaca, which is moving towards the west coast of Mexico. And yesterday, when I left Merida, it was 105 degrees there. I couldn't deal with
Wow.
that. Mm, that was just too hot for me. Oaxaca is hot as well, but I think because this is a more of a desert climate, it's also quite dry. So it's hot during the day, but in the early mornings it's actually cold. So it's probably somewhere in the 60s. I would even say in the 50s here early in the morning. The sun is not even up yet. So yeah, it's a different space. I'm out here in a rural area. You might hear chickens and dogs outside, which is a little different from where I was before. It was more of a city environment. So I'm excited to be able to do this, and I'm really surprised that the internet is even working in in this little rural space. But it's really quite beautiful. If we're friends on Facebook, and I'll probably start putting some pictures on IG. I'll put up some videos and pictures so people can see how beautiful Oaxaca really is.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, so this is the Wednesday AM Meditative Writing Circle. And we are a group of writers who are looking to improve our creative practice via the tools of meditation and journaling. And our motto is to live a life that's worth writing about. So this circle exists to help us do three things. So number one, we like to be able to start the day with a creative writing habit. Um, it's best to be able to start the day with focusing on yourself and your own expansion and your own creativity. At least that's my belief. And so I like to be able to offer people one day a week to be able to do this on their own. And then, of course, I hope that you can expand it to the other days of the week as you can. The second reason we exist is to become more self-aware. We cannot appreciate or change what we aren't aware of. And that's where the meditation part of the work comes in. We can be self-reflective, or we can't be self-reflective if we don't know what's going on within ourselves. So self-awareness is key. And also we like to be able to live with intention. Living with intention is absolutely important. Otherwise, you just wind up with a life where you've done stuff, probably stuff that's been assigned to you by a bunch of other different people. But none of that is anything that you really want to be able to do. So we want to be able to live with intention. Good morning, Kathy. How are you? Thank you for coming in.
Good morning. Good morning. Glad to be here.
So topic, today's topic actually came to me yesterday while I was moving here to Oaxaca. I'm calling it learning, excuse me, learning to appreciate your body tempo. And the reason is because I realized yesterday when I was packing and moving, and like I have way too much stuff. I gave away a ton of stuff. And my stuff is still heavy. I have books and things that I probably don't need to have. And then I have art supplies, which tend to be heavy. And those I want to keep. But trying to move it from one space to another, it's hard on your body. Picking up suitcases is hard on your body. And
Yes, ma'am.
it absolutely is. And I don't, it's hard on the body, and at least for me, it's hard on the mind. I just have to know that because I don't particularly have a space yet that I call home, I kind of carry everything with me. But I just had a real moment of appreciation for what my body does and what it can do, because I had to prepare for, you see, there's dogs and everything, all kinds of farm animals and things outside. I don't know if you all can hear it, but let me focus. I had a moment of appreciation for what my body could do, because I had to prepare my body to be able to do this. There was a point in time where I couldn't really lift a whole lot of stuff or move anything around because, my body was just too weak to be able to do it. And so even though the work was rough and I was tired and it was 105 degrees in Merida, uh, even with the air conditioner on, you're still sweating bullets. It didn't make any sense. I really just had to appreciate how far I had come into my journey and realize how much we really take our bodies for granted, and how much our bodies and the health of our bodies is really connected to our life purpose and living with intention. Because there was a time when um, this was many, many years ago, probably 10 plus years ago, when I said that I wanted to be able to live a life where I was able to put my health and wellness first. I even remember the day I even made that statement. I had gone to some sort of like a women's group circle thing, and we were talking about our money and our futures. And that was the first thing that I put down. And I felt like that was really a significant moment for me to be able to say that out loud to people. Um, because I was not living that way at all. I was, I just felt busy, and, people were pulling me in 20 different directions all the time. And I was fighting with people at work, and it just wasn't it wasn't a nurturing space for who I was and who I wanted to be. And so I wanted to become a person who could put my health and wellness first. And I had to sort of figure out what that was like for me. Good morning, Miss Carolyn. I see you there. Thank you for coming in to join us this morning. We're talking about learning how to appreciate our body temple. And so there's been different stages in my life where I remember I was preparing for this thing. Back when I lived in Florida for a good 5 years, and I used to do temp work while I was there. Um, and I was only given a 30-minute lunch break at that time, which was just crazy. Full 8, 9 hour day and only given a 30-minute lunch break. And so what I would do is I would take my lunch breaks for 30 minutes and I would go outside and I would walk. And while I was go outside and walk for 30 minutes, I would, the area of Florida that I was in Orlando, there was also homeless families. And so I would see homeless families, just sort of hanging out, chilling under the palm trees by the lake. Like, like they were homeless, but there was a certain freedom to what they were doing. Um, and I kind of wanted a level of freedom for myself. And so I would stick to what I was doing. I would listen to Abraham Hicks while going outside to go walk around at the same time, just trying to prepare my mind for something else. And all of my coworkers they were kind of offended because I wouldn't hang out with them during the short lunch hours, and they didn't get it. They didn't get why I was doing that. It's Florida. But people act like children sometimes when adults decide to make their own decision to do something else with their own time, which didn't make sense to me. And then, of course, when I had the opportunity to be able to travel, um, there was different ways for me to be able to learn how to take care of myself. And I always sort of looked at health as sort of a thing that I would do, like it was a thing that I had to do to myself. Like I had to be able to eat certain things in order to be healthy, or I had to, participate in some sort of a detox program in order to be healthy. And all of those things were helpful. I'm not saying that they weren't. But it was really the learning how to treat my body with kindness, um, that I don't think I've really have taken the time to really be able to sit down and appreciate, because it's our body that really helps us. Our body really does the most work, and it goes unappreciated. If we think about all the things that our body has sort of pulled us through, even the stuff in your life that's been traumatic, it helped to pull you through those times in your life that were super traumatic for you. Even in times where your life, was seemingly going well, it's helped to support you to enjoy the time that you were in. And we always sort of look on the outside of the things that we have to do for us and to ourselves in order to feel like we're healthy. But we don't. We can just sort of appreciate our body more. And so I was just really thinking yesterday when I was, packaging up and all of that heat, how I used to walk for hours on the beach when I lived in Vietnam, not really realizing that that was part of me being healthy. And then when I moved to Rwanda, and I would see, in that part of the world, some of the best runners come from that part of the world. And that was where I started to learn how to teach myself how to run, by watching them get up and go in the morning. I look nothing like them at all. I don't have any of the grace and the stamina that any of the Rwandans, or even when there was like official races with other Ethiopians and Kenyans, would participate. And those are some of the world's top-notch marathon runners come from. I got to run in those same races that they were in. And that's not even like, I wasn't even trying to do that in my life. If I had a thought when I was all the way back at that temp job and just walking around the park when I had my temp job, just trying to have some personal space, I would have never thought that I was preparing to do that running when I was in Rwanda. And now here I am in Mexico. I've completed 3 official races, on my way to being able to practice to run a half a marathon before the year is over. I'm doing it really slow, trying to prepare myself. People can say, "Oh, you can do it in 3 months." I need the year. Just let me do the year. I'm gonna do it my way. So yeah, so I just want us to today to be able to take time to be able to appreciate how much our body has carried us through what we've experienced, good things as well as the bad things. And I don't know if anyone had anything else that they wanted to share that was similar for themselves, or had you ever given given any thought to how much your body sort of brings you through in a lifetime.
Well, first of all, good morning, Halana. I heard you, but I
Good
was in
morning.
another room. And good morning, everyone else. Looking beautiful. Yeah, I think about it all the time. Especially when I take these falls. I took a horrible fall about 2.5 weeks ago.
Mm.
I fell backwards into the tub,
Oh,
playing with
wow.
my playing with my great grandson, you know, acting my shoe size, and ran, now wait a minute. I was usually fake running. This time
Mhm.
I put a little speed on it and ran in the bathroom. And as I was shutting the door, he pushed the door because
Mhm.
he would, of course, was going to show me you're not going to get away from me. And I lost my balance and fell back into the tub on my tailbone.
Oh, goodness.
My God, I howled. And he said, Graham, take 5 minutes, okay? I was in fetal position in the tub. And I was like, I just lay here for a minute. So when I crawled out, and pulled out all my little herbs and oils and clays and stuff. And when I was able to walk the next day, even though I was sore, and
Mhm.
by all rights, if I didn't have a good constitution, that might have killed me. That's how bad the fall was.
Yeah.
And um, I haven't had a day laying down in the bed in pain yet. Plant medicine is so wonderful,
Mhm.
but the
It
body,
absolutely is. Mhm.
but the body, I would talk to my body and try to sense whether I had broken anything, and almost command my body to heal itself when I was at rest,
Mhm.
you know. And here I am 2.5 weeks later. I've taken an x-ray. I did go for an x-ray when I felt that someone else could touch me besides myself. And nothing was broken and no
Well, good.
fractures.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's the most recent thing that made me realize at 74
Mhm.
that that the body is resilient, especially if you take care of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's
And
really one of my reasons for wanting to be strong. I'm
mm,
uh I'm 46, but I
mm,
certainly like 10 years ago, the condition of my body is not what it was um in the way that it is now. And even in
mhm,
my younger years, I was very focused on being a certain weight or having my body shape look like a certain way.
yeah.
And
Mhm,
now I'm really just focused on function. Does my body function in the way that it's supposed to? The
mhm,
weight and the form my body takes will sort of work itself out.
right.
And that will change around as I get older, and
Mm,
I'm learning to accept that.
mhm,
Um, but it's not the weight, the the
mhm,
the amount of the weight that matters. It's your strength matters. It's are you able to do what it is that you want to do? Does your body actually carry you through so that you can play with your great grandchildren? That's a really beautiful thing to be able to run around with your great grandchildren. Because I
mhm.
remember being in the garden when I was a kid with my great grandma. She had
Wow.
a beautiful, it was a small garden, but she grew a lot of stuff. And so she taught, I didn't even appreciate this until I was much older, but she taught
Mhm,
me a lot of stuff about growing a garden. And we would
mhm,
spend all kinds of hours outside in the sunshine together. And she had to have a certain level of strength in order to do that. It's a lot of bending,
mhm,
it's a lot of work, a lot of
mhm,
muscle work to be able to grow in the garden over the summer.
mhm,
So it's important for us to be able to have bodies that are strong, that can carry us through our various life purposes as they change
mhm.
over the years.
But I think also the main lesson that I learned was
Hmm.
to act my age. Because when he came, when he came back the next week, I said, "Look, I have me laid up in here. We're not gonna be doing that again, But moderation, and I
Hmm.
think that celebrating whatever age you're at and
Hmm.
modifying your behavior accordingly is very important.
Hmm.
Uh, I did an interview with Susan Weed.
Hmm.
I
Oh, wow.
found out, yeah, last night. She's the
Oh,
best.
cool.
Oh my God. And she said, I mean, all the parts that she's lost in to surgery,
Hmm.
I was like, wow, you know, and she's like strong. So, and we both agreed that had we known what we know now, we might not have donated so many parts to, you know, the operating room.
Hmm.
And she said what plant medicine does is it helps us get through. It's not going to stop things from happening to us, but it helps us get through whatever we're going, whatever we're experiencing. So,
Yeah.
and that's emotionally and mentally as well. All things work together.
Yeah, they do. They do work together. And had I known, there was a lot of things that I wouldn't have done with
Mhm,
my body as far as surgery and all sorts of things than I did when I was younger.
mhm,
I believe wholeheartedly in the power of the body to be able to heal itself when you make the decision to do that. I've
mhm,
seen that personally.
mhm.
And then when it looks like your body is completely run down and it can't do nothing else. Because there was a point in time where I just sort of felt like my body was just like there was just no return. There was no returning from what I had done to it. And I felt like I was dying.
Mm,
Uh,
mm,
Mhm.
and I went from that to being interested in running a half a marathon, which is just that's just mind-boggling to me. I'm
mhm.
just so proud of myself. I really
Oh,
am.
I'm so proud of you too. Mhm. And that was your body actually saying, if you don't stop, I'm gonna kill you.
Hmm. Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
absolutely.
You got to listen to those voices, you know. A lot of times people don't get quiet enough.
Hmm.
Hear that voice. There's a voice that's inside you that loves you
Hmm.
and will tell you what to do next,
Hmm.
including who you should be around, who you should get rid of, who with the direction you should go. When I was younger, I didn't know to listen to that voice. And I love reading, and you know, it saddens me that people don't read as much as they should because you can really heal yourself through reading.
Hmm.
I I read a book about intuition, and I said, I'm gonna try this. You know, I'm gonna try listening to the voice, you know?
Hmm.
And before that, my life was just in shambles, including, you know, the people that I was allowing myself to trust and all of that. And I
Hmm.
started listening to that voice, and all of a sudden it was like, you know, like a car seeming like it's going off a cliff, and all of a sudden it uprights itself.
Yeah.
I still remember that feeling of being uprighted, and then being able to travel a smooth path that was all about what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go, and stop worrying about so much how to correct other people and make their lives happier. How about
Hmm.
make yourself happier? You know?
Absolutely. It all starts with yourself.
Mhm.
Anybody else have something they'd like to share?
Just I think I started paying more attention to my body when I was um under a lot of stress, and I didn't realize that I was under a lot of stress, and my body started telling me that I was, but for many years, um, I was going through a lot of upheaval with work, with um, family outside of my married family,
Hmm.
then with my relationship with my then husband, just a lot of things, and I just kept on moving through it, thinking, I'll resolve it with my brain, my intellect, um, there has to be, some 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 way I can get through this if I do things rationally. And then the body started giving me signs and signals, and I didn't know it. Um, and the first time I realized that I was suffering and my
Hmm.
body was in pain, that I had not noticed, was when I went um, and received a massage. And the massage therapist told me she felt pain in my body. And that wasn't until afterwards that I started feeling the repercussions of that pain. And then I started doing other things like walking more and watching what I was eating, but I was still having like pain in my chest and my shoulders. And I would go rush to the emergency room thinking I was having a stroke.
Mhm.
And they would come back and they say, ma'am, we find nothing. They would do all kinds of tests, put me through the big, machine and scan my head and everything. He said, this is probably related to stress.
Mhm.
And so my body was telling me that I needed to make changes. And um, I was very much overweight. Still am overweight, but managing it, learning how to eat foods that will heal me. Um, and that's taking time. But yeah, so yeah, the body, if you listen to it, will tell you. And
Mhm.
sometimes you don't know what it's telling you. So you need someone to help maybe interpret that for you. But now I know how to interpret
Mhm.
what I'm feeling, including, getting up in the morning and your feet just feeling like they're like on fire, um, just poor circulation or numbness in certain areas. So yeah, I honor my body now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a different way to live. It's unfortunate that we don't learn how to appreciate it until everything is going all the way wrong. All the way wrong. I grew up believing that if your ankles were swollen, that it was just kind of normal because my mom would have swollen ankles. I didn't realize that that was a signal of high blood pressure and probably maybe even heart problems at some point if you can let it continue. And so now I would just wake up. Of course, going through the day, sometimes your body might swell a little bit. But like my shins and my ankles would become the same size. And I didn't realize that that was a problem. So as I learned a little bit more. Now I wake up in the morning and one of the first things I do is I look at my ankles just to see how thin they look. Because that's what I use as a barometer to make sure that I'm not eating too much salt
That's
or
right.
salty foods. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You know, I want to chime in.
Mhm.
So that's first of all, what I was thinking when you were talking, Kathy, was how serene you look. And then I started looking at everybody's face. And I just love this group because it's just so nice to be around a bunch of beautiful, serene women, you know?
Mhm.
So thank you for that visual. Um,
I've
uh,
learned I've learned how to find peace to be
yes,
serene. Mhm.
yes, I could see it. I could feel it. Dandelion tea. Um, yeah, I went to a acupuncture session recently, and my left ankle was had a little edema in it. She said it was
Mhm.
not a lot. So dandelion tea was what she recommended. Also, plantain leaf self-heal will help with detoxification of the blood. And I want to say yarrow, but if you happen to be on blood thinners, then don't take yarrow because yarrow is a blood thinner. But if you're not, yarrow.
Mhm.
Okay, that's all.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Miss Carolyn is a wealth of herbal knowledge.
With more to learn.
Okay. So for our meditation today, what I wanted to do was to practice a body scan for 2 minutes,
Mhm.
just to be able to demonstrate that number one, and it really only takes a couple of minutes to be able to sort of learn how to check in with your body to sort of see what is going on. And not that you have to come up with your own answers to your problems, which you certainly do with practice. But when you start to check in with your body, you can also sort of refer yourself to people who can support you and what you see as a problem that might be going on that for long periods of time. And so this is for the benefit of everyone here that's present in the circle, but also for people who watch the YouTube video when I put it up. Meditation doesn't have to be long. People think that, you know, in order to get benefit from meditation, it's got to be 30 minutes to an hour long. And while I do 30 minutes of meditation, sometimes an hour, that's mostly because I enjoy it. You don't have to do that, particularly as a beginner, as a person that's learning. You can learn how to do this on your own in only 2 minutes. So we're going to do that. I'm going to stop the video as I always do so that we can focus on the meditation. So we'll start by letting our bodies just come and settle into a comfortable position. You can sort of sit cross-legged where you are, or you can put the bottoms of your feet touching the ground and just sort of sit upright in a way that feels soft to you. You shouldn't feel any discomfort or any pain or strain in your muscles when you're doing this. You just want to be in a comfortable position. And you can close your eyes or keep them slightly open. Be willing to lift the spine and the shoulders to be able to soften themselves. And you can just sort of start to feel the energy just sort of pull your shoulders down as you start to relax. And so today we'll be practicing a short body scan, and we'll be checking in with our bodies. And this helps to settle the mind and to notice what physiological sensations and emotions might be present for us. And so we're going to start by taking in a full breath, and then you can release the breath. Nothing complicated. So take in a full breath for 5 seconds, starting now. And then you release. And we're going to start from the top of the body. Bring awareness to the top of your body, your head, your face, your neck, your shoulders. Notice any sensations or movements, any places where you're holding any stress. You might see certain colors in certain spaces, maybe an orange in a space where there might be some sort of tension that you might feel like you want to pay attention to, or not. Sometimes some people see things in colors, other people do not. And then from the top of the body, we can move down to the arms and the hands. Start to sense the back of the body, the front of the body. Feel what it feels like to be seated in the seat where you are. Is your spine straight or is your spine curved? Does it move back and forth? Feel the contact of your body with the chair or the cushion or the wooden seat or wherever you happen to be seated. Now you can sense your upper legs, your lower legs and the feet. Notice if there are any particular places that call out for attention. Places where sensations feel most vibrant or dynamic, or if these places are cold or warm. Is there any stiffness? And we're simply just bringing attention to these areas of the body. And this is really what meditation means, is to bring awareness to. We're bringing conscious awareness to the space where we want to be able to bring it to. And when you're ready, you can come back on video. All right, so that was very short. Body scan meditation is very short, very easy way to incorporate meditation. It's just one type of meditation. There are many other types of meditation that you can do. People think that meditation has to look one certain way, of just sitting real stiff in a corner, for 10 days at a time. And it doesn't have to. It doesn't have to. You can do these short body scan meditations and get a lot of benefit from it. So at this point, I want us to have time to be able to do our journaling questions. So we can take out our journals, and I will put in the first question. How has my body supported me this morning? So in particular, we're talking about this morning. We're going to learn how to appreciate all the things that our body did for us just this morning. And we have 5 minutes for that. Okay. So for question number 2, who or what has had the most influence on your body image? Who or what has had the most influence on your body image? And we'll have 5 minutes for that also. Okay, that was 5 minutes. And then the last question is write a few notes to the younger version of you who needs to improve her self-image. Write a few notes to the younger version of you who needs to improve her self-image. Okay. That was 5 minutes for the last question. If anybody had anything, we only have 5 minutes left. So if anyone wanted to share anything that they wrote for any one of the questions, I'd love to hear it.
I'll share right quick.
Yes, please,
One of
Ms.
the
Jamila.
things, the last question, I would tell my younger self that there's nothing wrong with your body. Your feet are not too big.
Mhm.
Your body size is not too big. It's not your fault that the clothes in the stores don't fit you, because they don't, especially back in those days, they did not make clothes to fit melanated, curvy bodies.
Mhm.
And I used to think that I was fat when I wasn't. I just
Mhm.
had a curvy body. And so that made me feel bad, when you go in the stores and this doesn't fit and that doesn't fit, and you're trying to pair pants and this big gap in the back and all that stuff, because they didn't make clothes to fit our bodies in those days. So I would have assured myself that none of that was my fault.
Excellent. We have to remember that when we go shopping at the stores, um, there's always a certain body type that they are trying to sell to, and not everybody fits that. And I really didn't understand that until I started to travel and go to different places. When I went to
Yeah.
Asia, I realized that everything was just too small. Everything was too small. And so I was like, oh, well, there was never anything wrong. And it was always difficult to find things in the States as well. But I'm like, well, where am I supposed to go to be able to find stuff that does fit me? And I didn't get that until I actually went to Africa and saw that people were creating their own clothes to the
Yeah.
way, they were making clothes to the way that fits them personally.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, well, that makes
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That makes
Hmm.
better sense. Than to be able to sort of force yourself into clothes that just sort of don't fit.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
Anyone
Um,
else? We got a couple minutes.
okay, yeah, I also wanted to read my take on the younger
Mhm.
me. Um, so I had a number of notes. There's no need to look at others as confirmation of your natural beauty, such as hair, skin tone, shape, or size. Honor where you've come from biologically and understand the I can't even read, like, understand the genetics of your family. Um, Earlier, I had written about my acceptance of my body, because I'm a mixture of both my mother and father's sides, and it's all confusing. And I never understood it until I got older. I have big hands. I have huge feet for a person who's 5'2". I never understood when I was younger, or the shape of my eyes and the shape of my nose. They come from different parts of different people or different sides of the family. And it confused me and it confused other people. Um, so people thought I was of a different race or a different, you know, and not until I understood that there's a long line of, people who came before me, that I take, all sorts of parts and pieces to make my shape. I have the shape of my mother's torso and her behind and her big knees, but then I have my father's big hands and big feet. I have his eyes, and I have my mother's side of the family, their hair, which is coarse, very coarse. And so, yeah, I was all mixed up when I was younger. So just honor, you know, honor that, your lineage, so to speak, and be happy with it. I always thought my mother and my father were nice looking people, so. I guess I got all of it from them and accept
Mhm.
it now that I'm, 60 years old. I'm okay with it all.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah. For myself too, I actually, on my mom's side, sometimes I will take pictures and I will see, when I smile, sometimes I have like a scrunched nose and things like that. And I don't really have a lot of pictures of my family, especially on my mother's side. I don't have any. And so in looking at those pictures, it's like I remember seeing her, and of course she's passed on now. But when I look at pictures of myself, I can see like some pieces of my grandmother in photos of myself. And it's nice to be able to see. I appreciate them as
Yeah,
opposed to wishing that it was something different.
right, right, right. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. All right, so we're at the top of the hour. Miss Carolyn actually shared some herbs that she wanted to share. If you want to go ahead and copy and paste that,
Okay.
I think that is useful. Thank you so much, Miss Carolyn, for sharing that. So what was the last thing that I wanted to share? So yeah, so everyone who is watching this video on YouTube, thank you for watching. You can like, subscribe, and share the video, make a comment if you'd like to ask questions. I do answer people's questions when they leave it. If you want to be able to join the Wednesday AM Meditative Writing Circle, you can hit the button or hit the link in the description box. And you can send me your email and you'll be able to get weekly reminders of what we're doing. I'm also expanding this circle to be able to include a paid subscription newsletter. It's going to be, super reasonable. It's $80 for the year, or I think it's $8 a month, which is super reasonable. So if you want more journaling prompts or just more ways to be able to practice your writing, the newsletter is a great way for you to be able to do that. And yeah, and that's all that I have for us this week. So ladies, thank you so much for joining me early in the morning. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I hope this has been a great start to your day and you can carry this energy with you throughout the rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.